can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders like the founders of P90X, Atari, many more, how they overcome big challenges in life and business. Our sponsor today is Rise25.com, which helps serve service professionals, doctors, lawyers, accountants, dentists, coaches, stop just trading time for dollars and shift from one-to-one client work to one-to-many. Actually, today's interview is going to talk about just that with newsletters and how they can do that. But Rise25 is an exclusive accountability and group coaching program for professional services entrepreneurs who want to scale up and stop just trading time for dollars. It was founded by my business partner, John Corcoran, and myself, where we bring together like-minded entrepreneurs from different client-serving backgrounds. Go to rise25.com and you can learn more about us and download our free dream product ladder so you can discover what untapped revenue you have in your business. It's rise25.com. Today, I'm very excited. Long awaited, we have Shaun Buck, founder of Newsletter Pro. They send out millions of newsletters per year for their customers. He's built a multi-million-dollar business crafting customized newsletters for his clients, which help them do all the right things, right, Shaun? Increase retention, get more referrals, get more new clients. And the best thing is it's hands-off. So they print it and they mail it and they put it together in-house. They made the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies 2 years in a row with a growth rate of 2,975%. Most impressive part, Shaun, is you are the father to 5 boys. That's pretty crazy statistic as well. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. I'm super excited to be here. I'm pumped, and I've been waiting for this, and yeah.
Me too. And, I want to talk about your book, Grow. The time of people listening to this, it may be out already. I have a lot to talk about, actually, but I wanted to start there and then go back. But so talk about Grow, because we were talking a little bit before, and you were saying people are focusing on the wrong things.
Yes.
So I still want to talk about the hot dog stand, the dry cleaners, and all that fun stuff. But let's start with why are people focusing on the wrong things?
Well, so here's what happens, right? So someone gets some success. They have their business, and maybe they've hit $1 million and they're stoked, and they should be. They should congratulate themselves, right? That is an achievement only 4 or 5% of businesses ever get to. So it's a big deal. And they hit $1 million. And they want to grow. They want to go to 2 million or 3 million. Well, what happens is they look at what they've done to get to 1 million and they go, I'm just going to do more of that. And it's just, that's not right. I mean, as a well-known book, what got you here won't get you there, talks about is just that. When you are starting up, especially when you're in that startup stage of a few $100,000 and you scale up to 1 million, a lot of what got you there was focusing on sales and lead generation only. Like, it wasn't improving the product. It wasn't having a good culture in your company. It wasn't systems and processes. Right. It wasn't people. It was you. Like, it was your hard work in vast majority of cases. And it's not scalable to continue to do that, right? If I said, hey, Jeremy, you've got this $1 million business. What's your plan to get to 2 million? Well, maybe you could work twice as hard. But if I then said, hey, Jeremy, what's your plan to get to 10 million? You couldn't do it. You can't work 10 times as hard. There's not as many days or many hours in the day. So yeah, the book is all going to be about, there's going to be a little bit of sales and marketing talk in there because I love it. I love sales and marketing, but it's going to be about everything else that you need to really grow a company. And if you leave these things out, this is where people stall or fall back or even go out of business.
Yeah. So as you were putting this together, first of all, what's the title?
Yeah, it's Grow, how to build a business from 1 million to 10 million and beyond.
Okay. So as you were putting this together, what surprised you that you found that was so important that you included?
Well, it wasn't even in putting this together because I'm basing a lot of this off of my experience. But here's the thing, and I know some people may not be shocked by this. I'm just a little bit slow, but it was how important culture is in the business. Because think about it, okay? your employees take care of your customers, okay? And if you don't have happy employees, you typically don't have happy customers, right?
Yeah.
And the thing with having happy customers is they lead to happy shareholders, right? So if you start where it all begins with the employees and you build this amazing culture, and I don't necessarily mean you have to, buy them all free food all the time or some of the kind of crazy stuff you see that comes out of Silicon Valley, but as a place that they actually want to work, that actually cares about them, that actually has tracking and systems and processes to help them grow their company. If you build that out, you'll be able to scale your company so much faster because everyone will be rowing in the same direction. So we've made in the last 2 years in a row, we've made the best places to work in Idaho list. Now it's Idaho. I get it. No, there's only about.
I wasn't gonna crack a joke there.
But no, I mean, and it's one of those things because we focus on how do we make the experience for the team good, and it's one of the reasons our average customer stays with us for 4 years because the team makes the experience for the customer good, and then in turn it makes a great experience for the shareholders, right?
So even in Idaho, what do you do to foster good culture?
Oh, I mean, there's so many things you can do. So you can do the little things, right? You can do the food. So that's a really easy place to start, and people will think
I'm in. I'll come work for you. Free food,
that's right? Everyone's food. So like some simple stuff. We didn't invent all this. We took this from other people, but we have unlimited cereal, peanut butter and jelly, and fruit. And so just basic. Like that's really really basic there. And you know what? My whole budget for 60 employees is like $600 a month or something. It's like
wow,
$10.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Well, think about it. How much is a large jar of peanut butter from Costco, and some jellies,
right,
and a bunch of bread. Like it's really cheap actually. So we do that, right? So there's one thing. We found that people really liked flexible schedules. Now,
that's huge. Yeah.
Huge. I'm not a big fan of the work from home schedule. Mainly because I got a lot of friends that work from home and they're not doing a whole lot of work at home. So I'm not a huge fan of that. So I won't usually do kind of work from home type of stuff.
So what's a flexible schedule then to you?
Well, so let me tell you what it started as, and then let me tell you what it is.
Right.
So it started as it was summertime, and you know what, we thought, man, people would really probably just like to go home early on Friday and start their weekend, wouldn't they? So we said, listen, you can come in anywhere from 7:30 to 9 a.m., whatever period of time that is. You are considered on time as long as you're here by 9 a.m., and you just work your 8 hours plus your lunch and go home. And so that means that if you want to come in at 7:30, we also have a thing called a flex lunch. So you can either take a 30-minute lunch or an hour lunch depending on what you need for the day. You can change it every day if you'd like. So if you want to come at 7:30, only take a 30-minute lunch on Friday, and then go home at 4 o'clock. You totally could do that and start your weekend at 4 o'clock. And so that worked so well that then we did it Fridays and Mondays because we figured, well, what do they want to do on Monday? They want to come in at 9 on Monday, right? They partied all weekend. They want to come in at 9 o'clock. And now it's every single day of the week. And so we're very flexible on that. And guess what else? It had a huge added benefit. I don't have to be a time card Nazi. I don't have to walk over and be like, it's 8:32. You're not here. What's going on?
It puts it in their control. Yeah.
And pretty much everyone can figure out how to get to work in 90 minutes. Like you have a 90-minute window. You're an adult, figure it out.
Right. So the food, the flexible schedule, what else has you find made a big impact?
We gave obviously just adding in basic benefits. Most small businesses do not even have basic benefits like vacation time. But instead of doing vacation time and just giving them a couple of days, we give them 2 weeks. We give them 2 weeks now they accumulate it, but we give them 2 weeks from go. Why? Because I don't know about you, but I burn out sometimes. I mean, I work really, really hard, and I've kind of found that if I don't take off about once a quarter and just stop working for at least a couple of days, I'm like, oh my goodness, time to sell the company. It's over. I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel,
Right.
I guess my employees do the same thing.
Right.
We throw an epic Christmas party. Epic. So last year, the Christmas party we rented out this beautiful banquet hall in downtown Boise, And it was all decorated up, catered, bar, the whole 9 yards. And then I went out, and myself and my wife went out and bought just a gift for every single employee. Now, not an individualized gift, but what we did is we went out and bought big screens, and we bought Xboxes and PlayStations and gift cards to fancy restaurants like Ruth's Chris, and we bought just all sorts of stuff. We had a gift, and we sat there and did a raffle, laptops. And I would sit there, and we had everyone's name in a hat, and I would draw your name out, and I'd say, Rachel,
It's kind of like a good Secret Santa as opposed to getting some white elephant gift.
Yeah, that's right. So and so we would draw the name out of the hat, and you'd win the TV. And then there was one I did rig. I do have to confess here. I don't even know if the employees know this, but I did rig one of them. So we have these two women who work for us, and they are insane 90s music fans, right?
Okay.
And one of their favorite bands is New Kids on the Block.
I saw you with my research. I saw a picture, a hat, and a shirt.
Shh, don't talk about this.
That is going to be the image profile pic for this interview.
No,
I didn't know because I saw the initials and I didn't know what it meant. So then I looked it up.
Googled it. Yeah. So my wife is also a huge New Kids on the Block fan.
Okay.
I bought her tickets for Christmas and had to. I was smart for my tickets. I bought them in Vegas, so I got to go to Vegas, but I had to attend the concert. So that was the trade off, right?
Got it.
And
so, anyways, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Just embarrassed me. It's fine. Guys, I got two shades here. I got white and red. Okay, so Jeremy wants me to be red the whole time.
That's right.
So I rigged it so that they would each win a pair of tickets to go see New Kids on the Block, basically. So I bought them tickets in Salt Lake City, and they got to go to the concert and have a great time and stuff. And so and bring a friend and stuff. And so yeah, I mean, there's just a couple little examples that we do.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Have you found with your book and how you broke it down, are there certain inflection points that you found with this, focusing on the wrong things, like from 0 to $1 million, like you were mentioning, focusing on new leads and sales, and from $1 million, what were those things that you started to focus on in the different growth points?
Well, so I think there's a couple places people stall out, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to focus on different things depending on where you stall. And so
right.
You kind of stall, people start to stall around that $1 million. Sometimes they don't quite get there. Sometimes they get just over it. And when I say stall, it means they could stop growing, or it means they could slide back even, right? Or they could just stand still. So it could happen. Somewhere around 3 million. I know we hit a rough patch at about 3.5 million in revenue. And so, and we just, for a number of months, we just couldn't break it. We just couldn't get over it. So somewhere around 3 million, they seem to stall. In the 7 to 8 million, and again about 10 million, and that's just from my experience in talking to people. Some people say 1 million, 3 million, 10 million, but my experience has shown me a little bit different. And so yeah, there's different things, right? So
for you is the 3.5 million point. What helped you push through that?
That was when we finally started to actually dial in the culture. So what was happening was our turnover was crazy on team members. We were losing them really, really fast, right? And we were doing a horrible job hiring. At one point, we were 4 out of 10 would not make it 90 days. And that was either they would quit or we'd have to fire them. That's how bad we were doing on hiring. And frankly, the reality of it, the situation is probably that should have been reversed. Probably 6 out of 10 shouldn't have made it. Because we probably should have let a couple of them go, but we couldn't do it. We're like, oh my goodness, we're so short-staffed, right? And so that's where we set up our own our purpose. Why do we exist, right? What's the purpose of the company? What is our mission? What are we trying to accomplish here? So right now, we want to our mission. It was, and I did this wrong initially, so the mission isn't how I would recommend someone do it today. But our mission is to send 1 million newsletters a month. Well, back when I set that up, I was like, yes, that's the goal, But and 1 million newsletters a month, I get this from entrepreneurs. Let me give you a little inside baseball here. Everyone says, well, Shaun, why didn't you make it a revenue goal? Why not $15 million in revenue, right? Well, here's the thing. Very few of your employees can get on board unless they're like your wife and your parents or something like that, can get on board and get behind a goal that is just solely there to make you rich, right? They don't get up in the morning like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to figure out how to make Shaun really rich.
That's why all those 6 people are fired. You asked them, what's your goal today? And they didn't say that. So
So I mean, it's amazing that they don't do that, but and it saddens me. My heart breaks actually over it, but they don't. And
Well, they're
so,
focused on serving the customers with a certain goal, you know.
and why 1 million? Because even though we're the largest custom newsletter company out there, there's like a generic newsletter company out there, and our research found that they did about 1 million newsletters a month. So right now, yeah, we're the largest custom print newsletter company, but that would make us just the largest newsletter company in general, right? And so they can get behind being the biggest, right?
Mhm.
And so we said, okay, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get behind, we're going to get them behind being the largest instead of being like, let's make Shaun really rich. That just doesn't resonate with any of them. So my wife loves it. She's all about it though. Like she's really so. So
Is that the current why vision?
So that's the current mission right now.
Mission.
We're getting ready to redo it for the end of this year to our 2020 mission.
Okay.
And here's the thing: I'm going to tell you something about this. This was a BHAG, right? Big, hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah.
And we set it, and it comes up at the end of this year. And here I'm gonna give you the revealing truth. We're gonna miss it. I'm not gonna hit it at the end of the year. All my growth, everything we've done, I'm gonna miss it. But you know what? I called my shot, and we're going to end up 8 times larger than we were instead of 10 times larger.
Right.
It's okay. I'll be fine.
For sure.
It doesn't suck. And so that's the thing about a big goal. You make a crazy call, and it's a wild guess, and you do everything you can to get there, and sometimes you hit it, and sometimes you don't. If it's too easy, it's boring.
Yeah, and it's not as inspiring.
It's not as inspiring. And so now our new mission, which will be we're calling it our 2020 vision, right? Because gotta have something to play off of. And
it's a good one.
Yeah. And so our 2020 vision, and it will incorporate finishing out this mission plus the new one. And we're still kind of formulating that and trying to get it wordsmithed and stuff. So I don't have it yet, but yeah, I mean, so we started to have to put this all in place. And when we started to put this in place, we saw an immediate shift. Immediate, first few months, right? We saw an immediate shift, and people started going in the same direction. They started to all be able to rally behind it. We started seeing, we started hiring and firing to our core values and our mission and our purpose. And it was, it just really was one of those things that absolutely changed our company, kept us, that's the stalling. Part of our stalling is that first we didn't have these items, right? Purpose, mission, values. Then the reason we didn't take off super fast after that was because we were implementing them for a few months. And then once we got them in place, we took off like a rocket ship. I mean, Jeremy, we did in the last quarter of that year, we added $130,000 in new monthly reoccurring revenue.
Wow.
Just going straight up at that point, right? So
it's not the soft stuff does go to the bottom line, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It really does.
So what are some of the core values?
Oh man. So we're re-wordsmithing these just a hair, but to give you an example, we want to accentuate the positive, because you know what? It's hard being in business, right? It's easy to get down on that. Okay. We want to collaborate to innovate. Which means we just want to work together, right? We want to deliver a wow experience.
Yeah, I asked that because it's interesting. You start to make this, like you said, you make decisions on hires, you make decisions probably with customers based off of these principles.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it makes a big difference.
It makes, I mean, let me tell you, when someone walks into interview, no matter how great their resume is, no matter how polished they come across, okay, if they are out of whack, so we have one that is called, because we're nerds, check yourself before you wreck yourself, which is basically don't have a big ego, right? And if they are off on any of them, we simply will not hire them. We pass. We pass 100% of the time. Without fail, there's not even a question. And so many people don't. They make an exception. Okay, I'm going to grab this person, right? All sorts of stuff. Like another one I really like is we give a damn. And I tell, so I'm in Idaho, and so we have a few variations of that one. We let them vary. I have a few. Actually, I have a lot of people who are Mormon that work for me, right? So that we give a care, we give a darn.
That
So we have a
sounds
couple
so much softer. So much nicer. We give a care.
it's a Bible curse
I
word.
like that. Yeah.
But here's the thing: we do so much to care about our team
Yeah.
and our community and our customers. And so, you know, when someone's in need, we rally behind them and help them. What can we do? And the company does too. It's not just the team rallies behind them. We have one of the things we've done that we get the whole team involved because we feel that everyone should give back, not just the company, right?
Yeah,
So,
one thing I did notice when I did my research is it seems like you guys are always giving back. There's like donations to a local this or that, or you're posting different things for people to donate to different causes.
yep, absolutely. Yeah, we give a ton. I mean, my personal goal in life is one day to be successful enough to give away $1 million in a single year. I did well over 6 figures last year personally in giving away, but not anywhere near $1 million. So
Still great. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because look, it's not all about, at the end of the day, I mean, it's not all about how much can I get, right? And I found that if you give, you will get. That's always been my experience. And when you think about it, really everyone in America, but definitely us entrepreneurs, the people who are listening to this podcast, the vast majority of us are so blessed, so insanely blessed, right? I mean, very few of us wake up to figure out where we're going to eat tomorrow, right? You know, how are we going to get food? You know, Americans are the 1%ers of the world. You know, everyone rallies against bad 1%ers, no evil guys, right? But compared to the rest of the world, like everybody here practically in America is. So probably the cause that's nearest and dearest to my heart that we do, and the team participates in this. We adopted this county that is the next county over from us. They're a poor county, and there's this thing that happens with everyone's seen like those angel wish list Christmas trees, like you get the 3 presents that the kid wants from the foster kid or whatever. Well, a lot of people don't realize that in many of especially the poor counties, after Thanksgiving, those kids any kid that comes into the system just doesn't get presents, or they get very limited presents. That they're just not set up to continue getting new kids on those Christmas trees and get them out there and stuff. So what we've done is we've adopted that county, and any kid who comes in after Thanksgiving, that kid's wishes come to us. And as late as Christmas Eve, I am out buying Christmas presents for kids who have come into the foster system. So my team we ask them to buy presents, and we ask them to get all 3 presents on the list, not one, all 3. These are the only presents these kids are going to get. So if they need to team up, if they need to buddy up and do it, that's fine. We ask them to get all 3 presents on the list, and then I pick up the remainder of whatever presents are necessary. And so last year I was out on Christmas Eve picking up presents and running them to Nampa, which is one city over, to take them so they could go give them to the kids, to make sure that every kid woke up on Christmas morning with gifts there. And this is the 3rd year in a row that we've been able to make sure every single kid had Christmas presents on Christmas morning.
That's amazing.
So look, but you've got to get out there. You've got to care. You got to care. So big.
Thanks for sharing that, Shaun. That's great. Also, what helped you grow? Obviously, the core values, the vision, the mission, the flexible scheduling, the why. The systems are big, right? So what kind of systems do you have? Maybe it's software you use, or the way you allow the team to function together or more efficiently?
Yeah. So, let me tell you one really new one. I can give you some software. Like we use Help Scout for customer service software. It's amazing. We're very, very fond of those guys. I have about 60 employees. So we use the HR software. I'm drawing a blank on it now. Zenefits, which is great. It really takes a lot of time out of the HR process and stuff. So those are all good pieces of software.
How do they communicate kind of between each other? What do you
Well,
what do you
so
like?
the Help Scout won't communicate with Zenefits, but like Zenefits will communicate with payroll and with QuickBooks and
Hmm.
stuff. And so if we give someone a raise, we can note it in Zenefits. It'll update it automatically in QuickBooks, so we can do our payroll and stuff. And so yeah, it took where we were going into multiple systems, having to tweak multiple things down to one place. We just go in one place. If I need to see any performance reviews, if we need to see any disciplinary things, if we have any questions on that team member, it's all right there in Zenefits. We can log in and get it, pull a report, anniversaries, birthdays. I mean, just
Hmm.
they help get our 401k done through Zenefits. I mean, just take care of our health benefits. Like it's so simple. It's so simple, and it's pretty inexpensive. I think we pay $1,700 a year for 60 employees or something like
It's
that.
amazing. Yeah.
Pretty cheap. So that's one thing, or those are a couple of things we do. But here was an interesting thing that we stumbled across that has made the productivity benefits we've gotten out of this have been insane. We used to have every team, so we have project managers, right? And then we have writers and we have designers. So
Yeah.
that they're all work together. And what would happen is we had a pod or a grouping of designers, 8 designers, they'd all sit together. 8 project managers, they'd all sit together. Same thing with writers. We have editors and other departments, but those are the 3 main ones, right? And what we realized was that this was causing some communication challenges. So we went in and we changed them to pods. So now we have a lead project manager and then 2 additional project managers. We have 3 writers and 2 designers, and those make up one pod, and they all sit together and they all share the same customers.
Hmm.
We have seen like a ballpark 30 to 40% increase in productivity since we shifted into those pods.
Hmm.
And that was just the proximity of them all working on the same clients, the same projects, and sitting next together. I mean, absolute game changer for us.
That's
So
amazing. Do you use like a communication, obviously they have a lot of moving parts with these projects.
yeah,
Do you use like an Asana or one of these task management? What's that?
teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we use teamwork. But, one of the best forms of ways to communicate, instead of using Slack and instead of using some of these other, we can do instant messaging and stuff, is that it would be kind of like this. If we're sitting next to each other and I go, hey, Jeremy, are you having a call today with Joe Smith? Oh, great. When you're on the phone with him, can you ask him to give me back that proof?
Right.
It works so well.
It's like same
there.
thing with newsletters to the internet. Like there's something called physical mail that people actually open up and receive. There's something called just talking to someone as opposed to
Yeah. Here's the funny thing.
yeah.
People are really behind small businesses, and if they can trust me on this, and I won't talk specifically about newsletters, I'll just talk about direct mail in general. But if they can trust me on this, and they would be wise to do it, direct mail right now is having a huge comeback. Huge. I just got off the phone maybe a couple days ago with a company who owns 500 pet stores. 500. Like, that's not a small company, right? Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a $500 million company, somewhere, maybe more than that. I don't know. They're huge. And this year they reallocated they took their direct mail budget from 10% to a third of their entire marketing budget. And the thing about it is because they found that especially on doing local stuff like that, it just made all the difference in the world. They were able to actually get to the customers, drive them into the stores. And so big companies are moving heavily into direct mail right now. And usually the us little guys, so under say 25 million, 50 million even, it takes us years to catch up to what the big guys are doing. And right now, I mean, that's not the first company that's told me they've really reallocated their budget. A good friend of mine, who you may know, Craig Simpson, is great guy. He works with tons of companies on this, and he's just seeing a huge influx from these big companies as well. So if you can figure out how to incorporate that into your business model, you'll be ahead of the curve of everyone else in your industry.
So you think it's just less noisy? Like people are just, they're getting a ton of emails and maybe some spam, and there's certain things hitting the inbox, or sorry, the mail.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely part of it. Like when you really think about it, I mean, well, I don't know about you. I get 150, 250 emails a day. So
That's a
much.
lot, yeah.
Yeah, so much that my assistant actually goes through all my emails before they ever get to me. I have 2 folders or no, 3 folders I look at. She filters them into folders, and you either are in the urgent folder, which means I need to respond right away. You're in the needs response folder, or you're in the personal folder, or you're in one of
Or
other
you're
20.
deleted.
Well, there's 20 other folders.
Right.
It's just that, or 18 other folders. It's just that I don't ever go into those ones. My promotions folder. I go in there if I need to get a good idea for a headline, or I need to get a good idea for, some copy or a new lead magnet or something. But I don't go into the promotions folder, typically to buy anything, which is crazy because every now and then I do go into it. I'm like, oh, I totally would have bought that. But I don't ever see it. It never gets to me.
Right.
And I found that as you get bigger, as your company grows, it gets harder and harder to get to those top level executives via email and stuff.
For sure.
So tons of noise in email. We are also being bombarded, every which way. And so when I can sell via direct mail, I'm selling in a vacuum. My competitors aren't there. I'm not on Facebook where they're seeing my ad on Facebook and my competitors' ad.
Like the ADD doesn't kick in. Like I'm just gonna click over here because you're a million tabs open. What do you recommend that pet company do? So they come to you. They're like, okay, we want to allocate 30% of our budget. You're the expert.
Yeah, did you say tech company?
No, the pet company. The pet company.
Pet company.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked to them about so usually the easiest way to start with that is, okay, well, what were you doing last year? I was doing 10% of my budget for postcards and specialty direct mail like that. And I said, okay, well, what do you want to do this year? And they said, well, we want more new customers in. And I said, well, have you maxed out the postcard campaigns yet? And they said, no. And I said, well, we don't really need to invent anything new. You can just put more money into the postcard campaigns that are working. This is actually really simple. And so their solution was very easy. They could easily spend the vast majority of that budget on that campaign. And now I also recommended that they do a campaign to their A buyers based off of their VIP card.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend like a monthly, like the VIP, like a newsletter that teaches them something, or what do you think they should do?
Well, so a couple things. If you're an A buyer and I can get you into the store more often, more frequently, then you're more likely going to spend even more, right? So because we already know you spend a lot. That's what you do here. You spend a lot of money. So the more time I can get you in for visits, the better it is, right? So I told them there's a lot of things they could do. They could do a VIP promotion at each store where it's like, hey, special shopping night, extended hours just for VIP, or have special gifts that they can get, like a special coupon that's just for the VIP people, and they have to bring in this coupon to get the offer. And it's maybe it's one item at cost, it's a loss leader, but we know when these guys come in what they spend on average, so let's just get them in again, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't go through the whole details of the campaign, but those were a couple like quick little hits and tips that they could do. But and that would probably, because they had so much more room in the postcard campaigns they were already doing, because they weren't using the whole list, that's the easiest stuff to go after.
Mm-hmm. And so who is the best customers for Newsletter Pro? I know you guys serve a lot of dentists, and who else? Yeah, who do you guys serve?
So typically it's $1 million plus businesses. It does happen to be a lot of service-based businesses, but there's an example of a pet store that we do a newsletter for. So, it's I do some for funeral homes too. So who knows,
really?
Right? Yeah.
What do they send out in their monthly newsletter?
Yeah, it's crazy. But they send it to people who. So mom has passed away. They send it to the kids if, say, dad is still alive, because dad's going to pass away, and the funeral home wants to be the funeral home of choice when dad goes too. So if both parents are deceased, they stop sending them the newsletter. And I haven't looked at one of those in a while.
I'm curious what they send in there. Like what?
It's good news, very positive, uplifting content.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you might imagine, and I think there is some.
There could be probably estate things in there, I guess, of how they handle the estate afterwards or something like that.
Like how to get over grief, and like there's a little articles like that too. But it's been like a year since the last time I looked at that newsletter. But yeah, we have like 2 or 3 funeral homes, which I would have never have guessed like in a million years. In fact, I was sitting.
You're
next
the
to this,
number one newsletter business to funeral homes
that's it.
in the
Yes.
world.
Yes.
No,
I'm sitting next to this guy on a plane, and he was going to the same conference I was speaking at, and he starts chatting with me, and he tells me he has this funeral home business, and this was the first one we'd ever worked on. I'm like, I got to be honest, we've never done this for a funeral home, so I mean, we can try it if you'd like, but I don't know if it's gonna work.
right.
So, but that was like 3 years ago or something like that. He's still doing
They
it. Says
still
works
do it.
great. So, I'm glad we got the formula right for him. But it was literally a shot in the dark. I had no idea. So,
Well, I mean, you guys have a certain formula to what you do, right?
well, I mean, we know what works. I had an idea, but I didn't know how it was going to be received by the person getting it. That was my concern. It
Right.
wasn't that I couldn't figure out the right content. It was, is the son going to be upset that he's getting something from the funeral home? You know,
Right.
that was my concern. So,
Yeah. So funeral homes.
oh yeah, sorry, service-based businesses. So if you have if you're running with a good customer annual value or lifetime value, you would like to retain them, and get them to refer more, then those are who we work. But it is usually $1 million plus businesses. We work with very few companies that are doing less than $1 million. There's maybe a few lawyers, who are like $750,000 or something like that. But a lot of service-based businesses where your relationship with them is part of the gig, because that's a huge portion of what we do is build your celebrity and credibility and your relationship with them. So that's a big portion of how we kind of put the product together. So yeah, that's the broad scope of who we work with.
So does it tend to be a lot more dentists and lawyers than any other service professional, or are there any others that tend to creep in there?
Lawyers, financial advisors, plumbers, electricians, HVAC guys. Let me think here. There's another big one. Oh, physical therapists. We work with a lot of physical therapists. Here's the thing on it, and we can talk about this or not talk about this. One of our best marketing strategies has been partners. And so we have a lot of dentists and a lot of lawyers because we have partners in those niches who
Right.
refer us. And so in turn, we end up with a lot of those. I mean, we have tons of customers. It just depends on, which niche. So, I mean, I probably have like 3 or 4 partners in the legal niche, that we work with. And I'm working on 1 or 2 more that, I'm trying to work a deal with Avo right now, which is a huge, legal.
The legal review site. Yeah.
Site. Yeah. So, so it just depends on where we have partners. It really, that's where you see the concentration. It's not just because, now lawyers, it is partially because they're limited on what they can do marketing wise, right? Mm-hmm. Dentists to some extent, less limited, but limited to an extent. And those are all relationship pieces. So where I think people miss out though. So let me tell you where I think people are missing the boat. Even our own customers, like they sometimes just get cheap and I can't convince them otherwise.
Maybe this will.
Yeah, maybe. I'm like, this is what you guys pay me for. Like, you should listen to me. So here's what it is. And I'll use my own business as an example. People are ultimately ready to buy when they're ready to buy, not when you're ready to sell them. Right? I mean, you know it from Rise 25, right? I mean, they're either ready for Mastermind or they're not ready for Mastermind. And you discounting it, which I know you would never do, but as a theoretical thing, right? Isn't even
not going to make a difference.
If you brought them in, it would be like the worst possible customer, right? It would be horrible, okay? And they're not going to get a lot out of it, and they're going to badmouth you, even though I've talked to numerous people who say how amazing it is, right? So,
yeah.
So it's that's not the solution, right? They have to be ready. So, but a lot of people, especially because we're in information overload right now, they get paralysis by analysis. So they start gathering all this information, and then they just freeze. They're like a deer in the headlights, right? They're just stuck. They can't make a decision. They can't go forward. So what most people do is they give up on them. 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, very common. They give up on them. Now in my company, we don't do that because I realize that those leads cost me a lot of flipping money, to be honest with you, right? It spends a lot of money to go get a lead. Sometimes I'm having to schlep out to a trade show and go do a whole speech and be away from my kids and my wife and to go out and get these leads. Like if I'm going to go do that, I want to maximize that time, right?
It's all in the follow-up, yeah.
So we follow up. Now we follow up not just with email because if it's a guy like me who never even sees the emails, it's no good. So we follow up with the newsletter, with some direct mail, with phone calls, and with emails. I'm not just saying, hey, it's only newsletters, right?
Right.
Now, at some point, we can't keep calling. They're like, stop calling me. I'm not ready yet, And so that's where the newsletter and then the email follow-up comes in. We're always trying to add value and give them good content. But last year, 29% of our new revenue came in from people who had found us originally 12 months ago or longer.
Wow.
So if you really think about that,
Could be a long sales cycle, yeah.
Yeah, well, and anytime you're selling something that's a high-priced ticket item, right? And it's not like we're crazy high-priced or anything, but it's, it's not.
It's not like a $19 a month like SaaS.
A $20 a month subscription either, right? It's a buck a month or so to send out a newsletter, right? So it costs money, and so when you've got that, it takes time, and so few people who are selling in that in those conditions give it the time that it needs.
Right. So you're saying, what did you advise them? They're making big mistakes.
Oh, yeah. So I advise them, you've got to put your good prospects that don't convert on the list. It's that simple. Now, if you really want to get sophisticated, you put them on the list and you make separate offers, right? So you do an insert.
You segment it a little bit.
Yeah, you segment it. You do an insert and the prospects get an offer and maybe the non-prospects don't get any offer. Who knows? Maybe they get a customer retention offer. Maybe they get whatever else, but you segment it and then you make offers. Now the offers don't have to be discounts. Like we don't like to discount, but so for example, one offer we'll run as I'm for customers only. So people who work with us, I do a free workshop for our customers. We're actually getting ready to do our very first one. This is new, so it's not something we've just had a lot of requests, and so it's not something we've tried yet. It happens in a couple of months, and we're going to show them how we scaled, right? And they can get this ticket for literally for nothing. They got to pay like $100 deposit and they get it back when they show up, right? And it's 25 people in a room, and I'm going to teach them for 2 days in beautiful Boise, Idaho. So the offer is, hey, look, instead of paying $2,000, which every now and again we will sell tickets. Someone really wants to go, we'll sell a ticket for $2,000 and let that person come out. Instead of paying $2,000, become a customer, I'll give you a ticket for free. So that could be the offer, right? It doesn't have to be save 10%.
It's an additional bonus or incentive for them to do it.
Yeah, simple stuff. If you're familiar with direct response marketing, you'll be like, yeah, Shaun, that's easy stuff. I get it.
I think, even the people who know it forget some of the fundamentals of just
I do, yeah.
list segmentation because it takes a little more effort and work to do it.
A little more effort,
but the return is much, much more.
It's huge. And so we always send offers to the prospects, and we sometimes have offers for customers. Just depends.
So you were mentioning the different pods, Shaun. One question I had, are there differences between the yellow team, the blue team, and the green team?
Man, you did really good research. Well, there's differences in sometimes. Well, there's differences obviously in the clients that they have, but you got.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah. So blue team has 100 some odd clients, and those are only blue team clients. And the yellow.
Is it a certain genre of clients, or is it just no? Okay.
Not necessarily. We do have. We do have a couple pods that just because this is how it worked out, they tend to specialize in a particular niche.
Right.
And when at all possible, we'll put someone in that niche in that pod, but pods fill up. My blue pod right now is maxed. They just can't take more clients. They're at 100%. They might even be at 103% or something, right? Now, they're also, currently they've currently won the pod competition for approvals the last 3 months in a row. So everyone's gunning for them, and we do a lot of competitions. People like competition, and so we do a lot of competitions, and they're currently our highest performing pod as well, and they're completely maxed out. So
how do you display that? Is there like a leaderboard, or how do people know?
Yep, there's a leaderboard. It's updated every single week, so that we know where they are, and they can actually see the updates live on a Google Doc, like by minute by minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it is updated every week for the whole company to see. And yeah, it's a huge competition. The winners get to come up and spend the prize wheel, which is like a $300 prize wheel I got off Amazon that we created a little.
I love that. Everyone likes spinning the prize wheel.
Everyone wants to spin the prize wheel, and they can win gift certificates to Dutch Bros, the most popular coffee place out there, or Amazon, or 4 hours of PTO, or whatever they want, whatever's on the prize wheel that time around. See, I tried to be funny with it. I thought there should be a bankrupt on the prize wheel. Like, prize wheel shouldn't have a bankrupt. And I was like, listen, if there's only gonna be one little sliver. There's 50 slots here. This one slot's going to be bankrupt. If anyone hits the bankrupt, everyone loses their prizes, and the second pot comes up and spends.
Except you have a weighted thing on the bankrupt, so that one sliver happens to hit up 30% of the time.
Is like the third guy who spun. I did put one up there. I wasn't going to actually do that, but the third guy who spun bankrupt, and I had to kill the joke. But yeah, so we have the prize wheel, and then we buy them lunch if they win, and we have this trophy right now that's may even be there already that we're getting, which is like 7 feet tall, that goes in front of their pod so everyone knows they're the winners.
That's interesting from a hiring perspective too, because it's like almost like a NBA draft or a baseball draft, because they only want the A players if there's this inter-office competition.
Well, and so we have had even maybe, I guess this was a couple months ago, 3 months ago, we had this guy who was he was checking out. He was getting ready to go. Obviously, he was checking out. He was like disappearing for like an hour or an hour and a half, going out to his car, like FaceTiming his wife and, whatever else he was doing out there, taking a nap. And his pod ratted him out.
Yeah.
Because they lost. And
right.
They lost because of him.
I could see that.
So
I could see like people wanted to trade for people too. Like we wanted to trade for this person.
Can't trade. Only management can make trades. So
right. Well, that's how it works, right?
That's how it works.
So, Shaun, I also read it's not like you were born out of the womb writing good newsletters or great, with this. Actually, you claim to be the world's worst newsletter person for 2 years.
Yes.
When you had the dry cleaning business. First of all, how'd you get in the dry cleaning business, and what did you do with the newsletters that was horrible?
So bad. Yeah. Okay. So I'm also a solid C- English student. So okay. I'm just like I got
everything going for you.
Everything going for me. I got by because the teachers liked me. I was charismatic, So yeah. So I got into the dry cleaning business. So it starts out my first real business, right? Was a hot dog stand, 2 of them in front of Lowe's Home Improvement stores. So. I mean, I
think one summer, I don't know if it was a summer, but you did $500,000 worth of hot dogs.
Yeah, we did $500,000.
I don't know how that's possible, but yeah.
It was a lot of hot dogs. We were sending out a lot of wieners. So, so we did $500,000 worth of hot dogs. It was a franchise. It was called Woody's Hot Dogs. Yep, it was called Woody's Hot Dogs. They had the contract for Lowe's, like west of the Mississippi or something. And as Woody's Hot Dogs, the slogan from the franchise on every menu board was, "It's the big one, baby. It's a Woody." So that was company slogan on our hot dog stand. So
a lot of play on words opportunities for those newsletters.
Absolutely,
if there were ones.
There was no newsletters.
Right.
Woody's Hot Dogs. So and I did the normal things as a kid, like I mowed lawns. The only kind of I had 2 abnormal things. I had a traffic school. So I'm like 17 years old, and I owned a traffic school teaching adults how to drive.
Really?
Not actually teaching them, giving them instructions so they can get out of their tickets.
It's good business. Yeah.
Yeah, it was okay.
Everyone wants to get out of their tickets.
Everyone wants to get out of a bad ticket, yeah. And then the other thing I had that was unique was a pager company. So in high school, I sold pagers to all my friends on reoccurring monthly revenue. So it was great. But it wasn't funny fun when I had to go find Johnny because he owed me my $8 for the month. I'm like, dude, you give me my $8, I'm gonna turn your pager off. That wasn't as much fun. But I always got my $8. So
right. Yes. That's funny.
Yeah. But I own this dry cleaning company, and what happened was I used to think franchising was like it. That was like the cat's meow.
So why'd you get out of the hot dogs? Because it seems like it was doing well.
It was doing well. I was doing okay with it. Well, one, I was in Northern California, and believe it or not, it still gets cold in Northern California in the wintertime. And standing out in front of the Lowe's Home Improvement selling hot dogs in the winter sucks. 2, it wasn't scalable, right? I mean, I was doing $500,000 a year. I was dependent on whatever came into Lowe's. I couldn't really advertise and get new business. And so, it was a great business, and it was all cash, although I still paid all my taxes. If
anyone's listening.
What's that?
If anyone's listening.
If anyone's listening. It was long enough ago that it wouldn't matter anyways. No, I didn't know any better, so I paid all my taxes. But I went in and did did that business, and yeah, it just wasn't for me. Well, and so what happened is I spent my 20s jumping from business to business to business, trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I was big.
Right.
Some people try college majors, some people jump from job. I bought and sold companies, and so I had like 8 of them or something like that in my 20s. So I started this dry cleaning company, and that came about, interestingly enough, it's how I got my start in newsletters, and it's how I was sold the business too. So,
Oh, wow.
yep. So they're a franchise, and I was, I know, listen, this is anyone who's watching the video is especially going to find this hard to believe, okay? But I was a very big nerd back then, okay? And I know the ladies probably are thinking there's no way possible.
Maybe if we look at your New Kids on the Block.
Well, okay. That's just between you and I here,
Okay.
And
Don't mention that.
And so can we edit that out?
You're happily married, so it's okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was a big nerd. And I would get these agreements. They're now called franchise disclosure documents. They used to be called UFOCs. But write that down and think about that for a minute. And they changed the name of it not too long ago. And so they're UFOCs. And I literally called companies and gave my information out to like 50 or 60 different companies and got these big, thick, like 2-inch.
I love where this is going, Shaun. Keep going.
Yeah, I would love to read them. I would go in and I was learning about all these guys' business models.
It's
It
amazing.
was really interesting. And I would get tons of phone calls just about these companies from salespeople. One lady, only one, continued to follow up with me. See, I wasn't ready to buy them. I was researching because I knew I wanted to get out of the hot dog stands, but I had to sell those because I'd put $45,000 into each stand, or 45 into the first one and 35,000 into the second one, and I couldn't just walk away. And I was making too much money. And so I had to sell them. And I sold both of them for around $90,000 each, something
Nice.
like that. Yeah, so I made a nice little return on that.
Yeah.
But I needed that $90,000 each to the 180 grand. I needed that to pay off some bills because I had a few loans from buying them. And I needed that to then start the new company.
Yeah.
I'm probably at this point 21, 22 years old.
You're young. Yeah.
I don't have a lot of money, right? So I go in and I start looking, and this lady is the only one who continues to follow up with me, and she does it via a print newsletter primarily. And I get this newsletter, and I got to be honest, I haven't gone after franchises to sell this, but I really believe it'd be a game changer for 1 or 2 of them if they would do it.
For the newsletters or what?
For this newsletter, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That'd be why would they not?
I know, huge, right? So she would send me this newsletter, 8 pages, 12 pages, somewhere in that neighborhood. I actually still have every single copy she ever sent me in a binder in my office. I'd saved them all these years. And in it would be things like welcoming a new franchise and talking about how excited they were to be a part of the team, right? And it would have the top 10 board, and it would show where people were shifting through the top 10 of the franchise. This guy had the most sales this month. This guy, was number 2. This guy was number 3. Now, it wouldn't tell the sales, but it would show where they were shifting through, right? And it went through it and talked about someone's success, and she'd give some marketing tips or some customer service tips. And I would get this newsletter and devour it. I loved it. And my now wife, but girlfriend at the time, hated it because I'd be like, babe, you need to come home and read this so we can talk about it. Like, check this out. This is so amazing. And we would talk about it. And she starts promoting about 6 months before the annual convention. She starts promoting the annual convention and how great it's going to be. Oh, you're going to learn all these things. These speakers.
This is dry cleaning.
This is dry cleaning.
Yeah.
This is like the most boring business on the planet, right? And she's promoting this convention, and I was so excited. I wanted to attend this convention. I had sold one of the franchises, and instead of paying off all of my, or one of the hot dog stands, and instead of paying off all of my debt, I saved some of it and bought this business before the second one sold. I had to go to the conference. I had to get in on this. And it was about a year, not quite a year from my initial contact with her, as when I finally bought. I was ready to buy. And like I said earlier, people are ready to buy when they're ready to buy, not when you're ready to sell them.
Did you ever find out who she learned from?
She learned it from, she used to be in the real estate game, in the franchise real estate game. And so when like Remax or one of those guys like that, I don't believe they do it anymore, but they used to send a newsletter like that to franchise prospects and to franchisees. And if they do it now, I'm sure they've gone electronic and it doesn't work anymore. But but yeah, that's where she learned it from. That was her original thing. So part of my contract with her was I had to send out a monthly newsletter, and I had to send her a copy to prove I was doing it.
She knows it works.
She knows it works.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you where she made the mistake, because she made a huge mistake right there.
Yeah.
As the franchisor, she should have provided us one that we edited with our information on.
You customized it a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
They made you start from scratch?
Made us start from scratch every month. So
that is weird.
That is weird, yes. And so I then proceeded to send the world's most boring newsletter for 2 years. And I would talk about how to get deodorant residue out, deodorant stains out, and grass stains. And,
my wife would read that. No,
oh man, it was so bad. And I couldn't figure out why I never got any comments, because I studied marketing and everyone was like, this works, everyone loves our newsletter, it's so amazing. And I couldn't figure out why no one loved my newsletter. Like, why was it hurt me on the inside. I was sad. And so finally one day I was like, well, look, and I'm like, dude, this newsletter is so boring. This newsletter sucks. And I wrote about like my Disney World vacation that I just taken with my family. And that was the main article. And then there was a secondary article that was probably the same thing, like, how to get grass stains out or something, right? And all of a sudden, I got all these comments. Oh, we're going to Disney World too. I put a big picture of Disney World in there. We just got back from Disney World. We love going to Disney World. Our kids have never been, but we're saving up to go. Whatever it was. And I'm like,
I think I struck on something.
Yeah, that's really good because I'm boring. So the big mistake people make is they talk all about their business. And if you get my newsletter, you'll find that we don't ever really talk about newsletters. I mean, we may be like, hey, you should totally have a newsletter, but there's not some intense training on doing newsletters. Like, no one cares. If they want to do newsletter, they'll call us and pay us to do it, or they'll buy my book on newsletter marketing, right? But they don't want to read about it every month. They'd rather put a bullet through their pinky toe,
So then transitioning from the dry cleaning to actually strictly newsletters.
Yes. So that wasn't quite as seamless as that, because I ended up having a bunch of businesses over the years. I moved from California to Idaho. We hit a recession, and so right when I moved, and so the 2007 area, and I was like, hey, should I start this? I had a marketing company that did direct mail in California and the dry cleaning business.
Yeah.
And so I'm in Idaho now, and I'm like, okay, sold the dry cleaning company, got like, I don't know, $250,000 or something like that. So I had a little bit of cash, had some bills I had to pay off, put a down payment on the house, moved my family, but I had a little money to live on. But I'm like, well, this is going to run out pretty quick. I better figure out what I'm going to do. And it was either start another marketing company, which is what I wanted to do, or start a dry cleaning business, which is not what I wanted to do. But the economy was starting to get shaky, and I was scared to start a marketing company, to be honest with you. I was worried that no one would buy. And so I started a dry cleaning business, and I put a hard deadline. I told my wife, I will not own this company for more than 4 years. It will not.
So you ended up starting another one.
I started a second one in Idaho.
Got it.
Built it out really fast. Had a little information business on it. This second one wasn't a franchise. It was my own version of the concept.
You knew how to run one.
I knew how to run one, and I knew how I felt I knew how to run it better even. And started doing information marketing a little bit and stuff. But I then knew I was in 2011, I was coming up on 4 years. And so I started prepping the company to sell. And I did sell it again this time for even more money, which was great because it was a bigger company. But I was then started, 2011 is when I started Newsletter Pro, and I was part-time for the first year. So at the end of the first year, we had done just over $100,000 in sales under Newsletter Pro. So we were just a baby.
Who were you targeting early on?
Anyone who would listen to me. So my whole marketing
Did you tend to target like dry cleaning business? Did you have that experience or not really?
I didn't think they had the money for it. Well, I thought they had the money for it. I just thought they were too cheap for it. Let's put it that way. Because I was in the info space, and I struggled sometimes to sell $1,500 courses and stuff like that to them. So I didn't want to target those guys. I targeted doctors, dentists mainly. I targeted chiropractors, vets, some retail businesses. So yeah, it was just like literally if I could go in and have a conversation with you, I would. And that was the start of it.
So Shaun, why do you think not as many franchises use you? You think they
We
just have in-house stuff, or it would seem like a no-brainer?
Yeah, you know what it is? We've never put any marketing muscle behind it, and they just don't know we exist,
Yeah,
I guess. So,
yeah. Well, if
yeah.
this lady still does the dry cleaning, maybe you should be doing all the newsletters.
Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't anymore, but that company is now defunct, which is a long, very interesting story, but probably one we can't go over, but long, very interesting story. So,
So, and aside for a sec, do you have to get that?
well, no, I don't have to get it, but
Okay.
if housekeeping walks in, just
Oh,
wonder
okay.
if that's what's going on, and I'll tell.
So an aside, if you were to buy a franchise now, what would you buy?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, let me.
You've probably looked through hundreds and hundreds, maybe
I've looked through
thousands.
a lot of them.
Yeah.
I like service-based businesses, so I would find something that was service-based but had lots of scale. I find most franchises, they want to give you a small territory, and you can grow it to maybe a couple $100,000 or $1 million or something like that, but you can't get it big enough. So it'd have to have lots of scale. Maybe my buddy's killing it in a franchise called Lunchbox right now, which is a waxing salon. He used to own a bunch of Baja Fresh franchises.
A waxing salon?
Yeah, so like women go to it to get various areas waxed.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He doesn't do any waxing. He just owns it.
Okay.
So his wife won't let him. So,
Okay.
but he's murdering it in that business. I mean, just
Really?
doing. Oh yeah. If
Yeah.
I was to start over right now, so if I sold my company tomorrow,
Yeah.
which I have no plans on selling. I actually keep, because we made the Inc. magazine fastest growing company list, I keep getting venture capitalists and offers and stuff. But I'm like, no, I'm having fun still. So as long as I'm still having fun, I'm going to keep doing it.
Exactly.
I would probably go into an event-based business. I think people want.
What do you mean?
So like, you've seen these, Tough Mudder and those kind of races and stuff
Yes.
like that. I think people, they want something to put on Facebook. So I don't think that's going away anytime soon.
Right.
I thought it was a fad. I think it's here to stay. So here we go. And so I think people want. That would be one I would seriously look at if I was starting over right now, because I think people really want experiences. And I know for me, I told my wife, she's like, my birthday was just a few weeks ago. She's like, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm like, I want to do something fun.
Yeah.
My next big goal for the company is when we hit the goal, I'm going to fly to Russia. I'm going to get into a MiG-29. We're going to go up 77,000 feet Mach 2 to the edge of space, and I'm going to see the curvature of the Earth and outer space at the same time. And my understanding is I'm going to get to take the stick and do some flips. And
Does this exist? Are you
Yeah,
making this? Oh, it does. So you could do this technically if someone wanted to tomorrow.
they could do it tomorrow. Yeah, it's about 20 grand plus your trip to Russia. And so when we hit 12 million in revenue, that's my gift to myself.
Wow.
So
Will you wear a GoPro? Do they even have them up there? Like, will that just explode?
I'm going to try. I want every little video I can. So my dream, at one point, probably because of the movie Top Gun, was to be a fighter pilot in the Air Force, right, or in the Navy or whatever. And I was an Air Force brat, so I kind of leaned more towards the Air Force. And but yeah, at one point I thought that's what I wanted to be. I quickly found out that I don't take orders very well, so just ask my teachers and my dad, and But yeah, so I didn't do that. But yeah, I think people want experiences, and so even what we promote, like we have a new referral contest. We just launched it 12 days ago, so it's literally brand new. We just finished one up 2 months ago, and this is the new one. And it's a little bit of a play on the Top Gun theme. Is this good? I'm not going too far off track.
No.
Okay.
This is, we go wherever you take me.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So what it is so I think people do referrals wrong. Let me start with this.
Yeah.
So most people, when they do referrals, they go, what's the least amount of money I can give you to get that referral, right? So I want to give you, I'm a dentist, I want to give you $50 to send me a new patient. Right? It's like, is that a joke? Like, I mean, you'd pay me $250 as a marketer to get you a new patient. Why are you only paying $50 to your actual patient who refers into you, right?
Right.
So I think it's a joke, and in a lot of instances. So I said, how about if I do this? Referred customers usually are my best customers. They're the easiest people to buy. They usually spend more money and they usually stay longer. And anyone who refers typically stays with me longer too. They have a higher lifetime value. So I said, what's the most I can spend? How much is the most money I can spend? And so I calculated that out. And what I came up with was this. I can afford, if you send me one referral who becomes a customer, I can afford to take you to Las Vegas. We're going to go into acrobatic airplanes. They're set up with laser tag, and
laser tag.
Yep, they're set up with laser tag, and we're going to go up and do mock dog fighting over the Las Vegas desert. And I'm going to try to maneuver behind you and shoot you out of the sky. And when I hit you with my lasers, smoke will come out of the back of your plane to know that I've scored a point, and it'll register it. And then you'll try to maneuver and hit me, and there'll be 8 of us up there, and we're going to fly with a pilot, and you'll actually get to take the stick. And there'll be a pilot in there with you, and we're going to go and we're going to try to shoot each other out of the sky, and it'll go in groups of 8 until we get through everyone, right? We just did an experience that just got over where we took them and raced like Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff, right? And it was great. And so people had it all over Facebook, and they were talking about it, and just built all these relationships. We took them to dinner and did, pay for their hotel. Like we gave them an experience. And so I said, what's the most I can spend? And then the Top Gun experience was actually a little bit more than my most, but it was about $150 more per person than I felt comfortable. But I learned a long time ago, if you're not feeling a little bit uncomfortable when you're putting something like this together, you're probably not trying hard enough. And so I said, okay, we'll do it. And so that's our new promotion.
I love that.
For
people go out of their way to refer just to do that experience.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So let me give you one that's a smaller scale for a dentist.
Yeah.
Because I just finished this promotion with them.
Dentists are like, you can go up in this airplane and shoot down. They just copy it. Like, that doesn't quite work for yours.
Well, if they could afford that per customer, then that would be great.
Right.
But let's give them one that they can't afford. So there's a new version of this actually starting next month as well. But the one we just did for a dentist, it was a trip to Disney World for a family of 4. Airfare.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, great. Now, they had to do it as a drawing. It just, it's like a $4,000 prize, right? I mean, they couldn't do it for everyone.
Yeah.
They got, in the 7 months we ran the promotion, they got 348 referrals.
Wow.
348, most dentists don't see 348 new patients a year. And that was just from one marketing campaign. Not everything they got, one marketing campaign, 348 new referrals. They ended up with the cost per new patient after all the marketing costs, right? Including, we had some bonuses for the team, for their employees and stuff. $48 and change, I believe, is what it was per new patient.
That's wild.
It was cheap. It was dirt cheap, right? So it took me, here's the funny part. This particular dentist was my very first customer ever.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So he's been with me for 6 some odd years now, and it took me 5 years to convince him to do this. So
now he may listen to you more often.
Yes, he usually does, and on this particular case, he wouldn't do it. So now the new prize he has coming up is a trip to Paris.
Wow. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger.
It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, right? So
are typically the referral partners other like specialty like orthodontists or are they actual patients or both?
Those were vast majority were patients.
Oh, patients. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they've got a decent sized practice. I mean, there's 2 doctors now.
Yeah.
I mean, when I met him, he was probably doing $200,000 a year, and between his stuff and the stuff we worked with him on, I mean, he's doing many millions of dollars a year. But he's killing it. And he's given away a car. That was a great one that they did. They gave away a car one time. That was really good. So
remarkable.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that story. I love that. So Shaun, I have to ask about the balance. How do you, with you have 5 kids, wife, 60 employees, right?
Yes.
Counting. How do you balance family? And I know there's no such thing as balance, but I'll ask you anyways. The family stuff and the work stuff. I know as an entrepreneur, it never ends. It never has to end, but.
No, it doesn't. Couple things. One, I do take 4 vacations a year, 3 of them with the kids and the wife, and one of them I try to just make the wife and I. So every now and again, I can combine a little bit of work into the beginning of the vacation, and then we can take the rest of it together, and that's okay. So not usually with the kids. I try not to deal with the kids. I do. It's about being present while you're there. As entrepreneurs, it's very difficult to even be there sometimes. So when you're there, just be present. Put your phone down.
Mm-hmm.
Actually have a conversation. I know it's really old school, but it's that's one way. Now, personally, it's easier for me. I don't know if other entrepreneurs are this way. It's easier for me to balance the needs of my wife and the needs of my kids and the business. The harder part sometimes is to balance my needs, right? Where I just need some downtime. I just need a break, and that I actually find more challenging than the other side of it. And so the best I've come up with, and I'm actually doing it. I'm actually doing it while I'm in Arizona here. Is that sometimes I'll just tack an extra day on, and I go do something fun. And like there's a range down here that I passed on my way in, and like a gun range, and it looked like they have like full auto guns. I've never fired a full auto gun. That sounds like a really cool experience. And again, I'm a guy who likes experiences, right? So I'm like, maybe I'll go down and do that. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just go see a movie. I don't know. But
like Wonder Woman shooting automatic weapons. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Wonder Woman was good. It was good. But yeah, so I try to do that, and then I go on a date night every week with my wife, or every week I'm in town. We pretty much go on a date night. Very rarely do we miss that, but it happens every now and again. We have to miss it, but I try to do that on Sunday nights. And
I mean, Shaun, 5 kids sounds insane to me. What's you have 5 boys too?
Yeah, all boys. Yeah.
What does that look like? Do you have to just buy like 5 loaves of bread per meal? I mean, how does that even work?
Yep, they do eat a lot. My grocery bill is insanity. It's probably a couple $1,500, $2,000 a month, I'm sure. So, and that's in Idaho, which is cheap. So we buy a cow, and we don't literally raise it, but then we buy one, slaughter, and then we keep all the meat, right?
Really? Yeah.
We buy a whole cow like twice a year, and we go through a ton of food, as you might imagine.
You had a life-changing event occur at age 16.
Yes.
And I want you to just talk about that. Take me back to that. What was life like then? What happened for people who don't know? Yeah,
so it's crazy. I get this phone call from my ex-girlfriend. We'd been broken up like a good 2 months. So, obviously the first thing I thought when she was calling was, hey, she misses me. Of course, that's why she'd be calling, right? And which I get it. I understood. But she was really calling to give me her good news. She had some good news. She wanted to share it with me. She was telling me that she was pregnant. Now, I'm not the brightest guy. C- student in English, right? I wasn't that great. And I said, well, that's great. I guess congratulations. Why are you telling me? And then she proceeds to tell me, because the baby's yours.
Wow.
So I quickly realized that my job at Chuck E. Cheese wasn't going to cut it. Now, I had recently received a raise. I was now making $4.25 an hour.
Jeez, yeah.
So I felt like
you're 16. That's not bad money. So
I felt like a baller, right?
Right.
So back in like 1995 or something like that, right? But I realized it wouldn't cut it, and I had to do something different.
That's a shocking thing to hear out of the blue.
Yep, Yep. Especially because we'd been broken up, and so I just never would have guessed it in a million years. And then and her and I made a little bit of a go of it, tried to get the relationship going, and that didn't end up working out. And then slowly but surely over the next couple of years, she just continued to kind of be involved less and less and less, and so I ended up raising him.
Wow.
With the help of my now wife, but I ended up raising him, and yeah, he's works for me now. He's 21, is married, and
it seems insurmountable at the time to me. Like, I know what it takes, and I was much older, and there's waking up in the middle of the night, there's changing diapers, there's that's a huge undertaking for someone who's kind of has someone with them helping, and you're older and you're kind of wiser, let alone when you're 16 or 17.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, and I was on my own at 16, so I had moved out. I didn't,
Wow.
I wasn't living at home or anything. I didn't have parents to help me out, and so yeah, it was scary and it was hard, and
How did you
it,
manage all that? And you didn't have, I mean, I can't even imagine that, honestly, Shaun.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, to be honest, my first thing I had to do, and I ultimately went back, but I dropped out of high school. I didn't have
Mm,
any choice. I needed a job, and I couldn't get a full time job that paid well while I was going to school from eight
right.
to three, right?
Yeah.
And so I dropped out of high school and started working for a regional electronics company called The Good Guys, and found out very quickly that I was very good at sales because my very first month I made $5,000 in
Wow.
commissions. And
Amazing.
I mean, I think it was part sales, part my good looks, but I mean, we'll talk sales.
It all goes back to,
Um, so did that, and then went back and did like a home study learning where I had a teacher would come to my apartment like 3 times a week and teach me in between, like while I wasn't working and stuff, and so did that, and ended up graduating high school, and but yeah, I mean, I had to go get a job. I had to make money. I needed health insurance. I
yeah.
needed
I mean, in your mind, Shaun, it seemed like, this is it. Like, I am going to do this. I'm going to take responsibility for this. There wasn't any wavering there, it seems, you know?
there was one there was one point, and I'm ashamed of it to this day, even, and I'm happy that she didn't take me up on it. But her name's Rebecca, and is my son's mom, and we got into a big fight, and it was very early on after she had just told me, and I was scared and didn't know what to do, and
Oh, yeah.
I said, you know what, why don't you just go have an abortion? Let's just be done with this. And I get a phone call the next day. It says, or a couple days later, or whatever it was, the abortion is scheduled for Friday. You'll never hear from me again.
Wow.
And I called her up on Thursday and begged her not to. So, and she decided not to. And so I've been
That's
very
amazing.
blessed because of that.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I mean, that was my one point where I wavered. And,
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I just mean you decided, like, okay, I'm dropping out of school. I'm going to support this baby, do what it takes to take care of this baby,
yeah.
you know?
Well, I mean, I've just been, in my whole life, I've been a very big believer in, you got to own you got to own the wins. You got to own the mistakes, which is what everyone
Yeah.
said he was, right? And what everyone said, I was not going to amount to anything, which really just fueled my entrepreneurial growth, right? So, yeah, I mean, but I was just always raised that, like, listen, this is, you make your bed, you go lie in it. And,
Yeah.
I made my bed, I lied in it, and a baby was coming. So I
Right.
need, I needed to own that. And that was what I was going to do. So
So he works in the company.
he does,
So
yes.
what does he do?
So he works back in production, which is the fulfillment end of it, like getting the newsletters out. He mainly, though, doesn't get the newsletters out. He works on the lists. So he does the list management, gets them clean, gets them scrubbed. He does that. He helps, helps. We have he has a manager above him that helps lead, but he would definitely be, one of the other go-to people with, if there's questions or challenges there. Orders, make sure that they have all their supplies. He's in charge of all the ordering and supplies for that department and stuff like that. So yeah, he's getting ready to move over into marketing in the near future. The next position we have open that fits his skill set. He actually, I made him study a lot of marketing as a kid.
I'm sure.
Yeah, he didn't like it at first, but he likes it now, and so he actually has a very good intellectual knowledge. Not a ton of day-to-day experience, but good intellectual knowledge. And so I'm gonna help him
Well,
get
he's
some.
been, soaking up through osmosis through you all these years.
Yeah, he's got that. So, but yeah, so that'll be fun.
That is remarkable, Shaun. Thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah,
a tough story, but it's got a happy ending, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
So,
so what about your other sons? What are they into?
football. So, so yeah. Now they're
Do you think any of them will? Have they been around the business too, like helping out?
yes, my 11-year-old helps out with, like, sometimes we have stuff that needs to just be stamped. or hand inserted, and he will come down during the summer. He was just there a couple days ago while I was there, and he's hand inserting and stamping and gets paid $8 an hour, which I feel like is pretty good. I mean, I started at 4, so
Doubled you.
He is he is just like so entrepreneurial. It's just in his DNA.
Really?
Oh yeah, he's only allowed to like solicit the people on our street. But he will walk up and down the street, and in the wintertime, he's selling them, same people, knock on their doors, selling them snow shovel in their driveway. And in the summer, he's selling, to wash their cars. And he just, every new idea he has, he goes out and tries to sell it to every neighbor we have. Yeah, he made $200 one weekend snow shoveling this winter. So yeah, he's really into it. My 7-year-old, not so much. He's actually more like me when I was as a kid, but he's not so into it. The thing I worry about the kids is that they're, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel this way, they have such a cushy life compared to what I grew up with, that they don't fully get it, right? I mean, I grew up very poor, super poor. And so I have this drive because I had nothing.
He's like chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. And they have, I mean, we don't buy them anything and everything they want, but comparatively speaking, they have everything, you know?
I mean, it sounds like you were on your own from a very young age.
Yeah. That was, I mean, the really short version of that story is that, my dad got orders to Mississippi. He was in the Air Force. I lasted all of 1 month in Mississippi. It was still actually pretty racially divided when I was there. And, I wasn't used to that from the Bay Area, and I miss my girlfriend, my son's mom. I miss my girlfriend, and I even I even remember getting this little talking to one time because I was hanging out with this one black guy, and they're like, well, we kind of don't usually hang out with those guys, and I'm like, what do you mean those guys? Like, I don't understand. So I was just
didn't register. Yeah, you weren't used to that.
The Bay Area, right? And so. So anyway, I lasted 1 month before I told my dad, hey, you need to send me back. I'm gonna go live with my mom. My mom was a civil servant, and they almost mean servant, back then. But she made very little money, and it was my mom and my little sister shared a room. My older sister, her husband, and their baby shared another room, and I slept in the living room on a blow-up mattress for 6 months before I roughly turned 16 or so, and was like, hey, I can't do this anymore, and I moved out. So yeah, so that was kind of the how that kind of came about.
So Shaun, it seems like even though one of your sons, he's very entrepreneurial, he still has that drive.
He does. He has that drive. Yeah. One of them will have if he wants to, a decent, at least college run in athletics of some kind.
Oh, really?
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, we do lots of football.
In what sport?
Games.
Football?
Whatever he wants. The kid's like one of the most gifted kids. We do these football camps, and the coaches, we were just at Boise State, and did a football camp, and his coaches were some of the players. And so now he's in kindergarten, young kid, right? And the coach comes up and he's like, do you realize how talented he is? Do you realize how good he is at football being this young? And when we play on teams, like when we go to play on teams, they do a skill rating assessment, for the leagues and stuff. And so last year in kindergarten, they had him playing with the third graders. So because his skill was third grade level, even though he's a kindergarten. So
wow.
And the other kid, I don't know, he's too young. So we'll see what he ends up. But yeah, so they're all different. It's really funny, same mom, dad. All very different kids, right?
Amazing. Shaun, thank you so much. This has been awesome. And I want to point people towards where they should go. One is newsletterpro.com. Any other places we should point people to go to check out what you guys have going on? I don't know if there's social media, or is Newsletter Pro the best place?
Yeah, Newsletter Pro is the best if they want. If they're interested, if they happen to be interested in newsletters, if they go to Newsletter Pro, like a special code, Newsletter Pro /free book. That's a special code that will get them a free copy of one of my books on newsletter marketing, including shipping. So we'll even cover the shipping at that.
Nice.
So yeah, that's really truly free. So they can check that out if they want. And then of course all our links for social media, Facebook and all that's up there on newsletterpro.com. So
yeah. Everyone should check out newsletterpro.com and newsletterpro.com/free book. And the man knows a thing or two about marketing, selling millions and millions over the years of direct response marketing newsletters. So, Shaun, I want to be the first one to thank you. This has been absolutely fantastic.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks.
Yeah.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.